With the announcement of Springtrap getting added to Dead by Daylight, and Megan having beef with Freddy, it put me in the Five Nights at Freddy's mood. And the topic of whether real life people can physically fight the FNAF animatronics has always been a fun debate. So today, I wanted to see if cinema's world famous martial artist Bruce Lee could stand a chance against Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. And I won't lie to you, this video was inspired by Goji's video on if Rocky Balboa could beat the FNAF crew, and I wanted to do my own spin on it using my favorite action star. Now for this video, I'm going to be using Enter the Dragon Bruce Lee. Although Bruce Lee in real life has performed many incredible feats for his size, there's simply no way any real human could beat up a 6-foot animatronic. It's not happening. And given how he existed before the age of portable cameras and modern day smartphones, people have always speculated to how legit Bruce Lee actually was. Most of his feats were simply up in the air because we didn't have any video evidence of him performing it. Like, we don't actually have footage of him kicking a 700-pound bag to the ceiling. It's just word of mouth. So to make it simpler, I'm just going to be using the movie version of Bruce Lee, where we actually have something tangible to scale off. To keep it simple for the FNAF crew, we're just going to keep it to the 4 main animatronics. So in this scenario, Lee will be in the first Freddy Fazbears pizza location and will have to fight Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy inside the pizzeria. And I know Golden Freddy is missing from this group, but given how he rarely appears in actual gameplay and doesn't usually attack during the 5 nights, I'm not going to include him. Now with this established, could Bruce Lee actually beat the FNAF animatronics? Alright, let's begin talking about Freddy and the gang. By now, most casual fans of the series would know that Freddy and his friends would be way beyond peak human levels of power. This is evident in the first game, where in the opening description for the pizzeria, it's implied that the animatronics can rip people's limbs apart. It's further reinforced at the losing screen, where we actually see the animatronics shove someone into the Freddy suit. However, the infamous feat of the franchise would be the Bite of 83, where one of Afton's early animatronics, Fredbear, bites down on a crying child's frontal lobe. This feat would require a bite force of around 1200 to 2000 psi. Although Fredbear was made a full decade before the first FNAF mascots came into service, the animatronics should still be relative in terms of power and bite force. Despite these machines weighing between 200 to 300 pounds, they're not actually that slow. For example, Foxy running down the hallway was calculated to be around 25 miles per hour, putting him on par with some of the fastest humans on Earth. And we can reasonably assume that the animatronics can also move at the same speed as well, as we've seen Bonnie running down in the hallway in the first FNAF trailer, which was a feature given to Foxy in the final release of the game. In terms of actual striking power, they don't really have anything. I imagine they just grapple people. And in terms of fighting, I imagine because they're possessed by dead children, that they don't really have high fighting IQ. Now that we've gone over the power of the animatronics, does Bruce Lee have what it takes to survive Five Nights at Freddy's? When looking at feats from Enter the Dragon, we can scale Lee's strength based off the antagonists of the film, O'Hara and Bolo. O'Hara was shown to be able to break 6 concrete slabs, which would take around 1200 joules of energy, putting him in the street level tiers of power, and Bruce Lee casually diffs this guy, killing him in the tournament. Although Lee and Bolo have never fought in the movie itself, the film constantly gasses up Lee's abilities, implying that he is the best martial artist in the film, and would be superior to any fighter we see in Enter the Dragon, meaning he would be equal or comparable to Bolo, a man strong enough to crush people's spines by grabbing them and breaking people's necks by stepping on them. So based on that hierarchy, Bruce Lee would be in the street level tiers of power as well. Now I don't think we can talk about Bruce Lee without talking about his speed. Without question, he would easily be in the superhuman tiers of attack speed. I would compare Lee to professional boxers of his era. For example, Ali's jab was measured to be around 4/100ths of a second, whereas Lee's was measured to be around fifths of 100 of a second. In addition, people such as Jackie Chan, one of the stuntmen for Enter the Dragon, testified to how fast Bruce Lee's attacks were on set.
When Bruce Lee kick, you don't shut your eyes, because when you shut your eyes, you cannot see Bruce Lee kick. Know how fast? No, because the roommate, the mix Bruce Lee, a lot of pressure. You know, human being, just human being, cannot like a cartoon. No, how fast? That's the fast you can be. Even Muhammad Ali, you know, right now Tyson, the punch fast, but you still can see.
And given how, again, Enter the Dragon portrays him to be this elite level martial artist, he should be justified in having this speed scaling. I think it's also important to talk about the physical build of Bruce Lee. When he was filming Enter the Dragon, he was a feather. He only weighed in at 55 kilograms, which is 125 pounds, and he was quite short, being only 5'7". So this means he's probably going to struggle a lot with range, and grappling is not going to be an option for him. So with all this established and both sides covered, who do I think would win? Could Bruce Lee solo the FNAF animatronics? I might be rage baiting people here, but I'm gonna side with Bruce Lee on this one. I think Enter the Dragon's portrayal of Bruce Lee would be able to handle the FNAF animatronics. Not easily, but I think he could win with very high difficulty. Without a doubt, the animatronics are stronger than Lee. There's even statements in the novels based on the games that given enough time they could break down the steel doors in the first game, something Lee can't do. But Bruce Lee is way faster both in combat and running speed to evade the animatronics. When you first look at the Bite of 83, it makes it sound like the power gap between Lee and the animatronics would put them in the lead. But don't forget, this was a small child and not a grown adult, so the power needed to crush the frontal lobe on an adult would be way higher than it is to crush a small child's frontal lobe. Although physically weaker, he still has enough power in his kicks and punches to stagger them and pick them off one by one. Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon does have stealth mastery and can hide and strike when he needs to. Although I've glazed the animatronics' power, their durability doesn't hold up all that good. For example, in the third game, we see William Afton take down all 4 of the main animatronics from the first game, and the 16-bit game implies that he did this barehanded. So if William Afton, a normal human whose greatest feat of strength is murdering little kids, can rip these animatronics apart with his bare hands, why couldn't Bruce Lee do this? A martial artist who has trained all his life and can solo small armies and snap people's necks, yeah, there's no way he's not doing the same thing. And this point is further backed up when you remember that the Mangled from FNAF 2 gets taken apart by children on a daily basis. However, Lee's small size and weight means grappling again will not be an option, so if Freddy or any of his friends grab him, it's pretty much GG's. But because Bruce Lee is way more intelligent than 4 possessed children, I think he should be fine. Therefore, I declare Bruce Lee the winner of today's video. He does indeed solo Five Nights at Freddy's. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. And if you disagreed with the conclusion or any points I made, drop in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.